Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Scott Cosenza, Graham Noble, and Jeff Charles. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The trial of longtime girlfriend and suspected accomplice of the late Jeffrey Epstein is finally underway. And America is nothing short of captivated by the strange and bizarre life and times of Ghislaine Maxwell. Prosecutors will attempt to prove Ms. Maxwell facilitated sex crimes perpetrated by Epstein, who mysteriously died in prison. It is a lengthy, sordid tale. Panel, this woman is as mysterious as her name. What did she do? What did she know? Scott Cosenza, Esquire, you're our legal eagle. What stands out to you about the Maxwell case so far, counselor?
Well, what stands out is that what's happening on the witness stand hasn't met up with what I've been led to believe will occur by the media, Lisa. We learned that the first accuser, for instance, got, I believe, $5 million from the Victim Compensation Fund. And those, of course, are 5 million reasons to lie. And we now know that the initial story that she gave the FBI when she first was contacted didn't include details about Ghislaine like her claims do now. So it's a fascinating story. And it's going to be 6 weeks of trial, by the way. That's the guess.
Why so long?
I don't know. It's frustrating because it's not televised. Federal trials are not televised outside of a few in a pilot program. So we have to rely on sort of third-party reporting on this.
Yeah, this is really a sordid tale. What do you say, Jeff?
First, I've got two things here. The first thing is I want to offer my condolences to the hard left who was so hoping that this would somehow redound negatively on Donald Trump. One of the witnesses said that Epstein introduced her to Donald Trump when she was 14 years old, and he didn't do anything inappropriate. Nothing happened. So I know that the left was desperately hoping that something like that would come out, and it didn't. So I do feel a little bit bad for them. But the second thing, when I'm looking at this case, is that regardless of how this turns out, my silver lining to this, and what I hope will happen, is that this brings more of an awareness of sex trafficking. It seems like this is the prime case that should have opened more people's eyes, but I still think that people just seem to think that this was just limited to Epstein and that this stuff isn't going on all over the place. And I really hope that somehow this shines more attention on this subject, because more people need to know about it before we can actually do something about it.
Yeah, Graham, what these people are saying, these young girls who are sort of nameless or they've been given a pseudonym, is that this woman was kind of enabler in chief.
I'm obviously not the legal expert on this case. What I've been following about it, and it is interesting, as Scott pointed out, that the first witness on the stand began to magically remember all kinds of details that she didn't recall when she was being interviewed by federal investigators. And of course, the interesting thing about the trial is that Ghislaine Maxwell is almost a bit player in her own trial, because really everyone is still wondering about Jeffrey Epstein himself and his alleged suicide. And quite frankly, the biggest thing that surprises me about this whole affair is that Ghislaine herself is still breathing.
Well, Andrew, do you think that, there's kind of a sense, let's get her since we can't get him?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about that. But the thing also, what I'm concerned about is I'm worried that not enough names will be released throughout the trial or during the media coverage, because I'm sure a lot of people in high society had great connections to Maxwell and Epstein's. I'm sure a lot of these, grotesque individuals use the girls. So I think that should be the main focus of the story of people who are involved, and they should be charged. If I could piggyback on Jeff's comments too, this whole thing has also become politicized. Both sides are trying to, get one up on each other. One side saying, "Oh, Bill Clinton, he's a pervert. Oh, he's a personification of left," and the other side's going to say, "Oh, look, he has connection to Donald Trump." But the main focus should be not only the names of the high society individuals, but also, as Jeff pointed out, the sex trafficking and the victims. All our hearts should go to them, and not politicize this issue as it has been.
Scott, does it matter that, we're dealing with the jet set here? And like he said, Trump apparently, according to the girl, didn't do anything. And she said the same, I think, for Prince Andrew, which That was another big thing going around. What does it mean when you have all these kind of jet setters involved in the trial?
Trump and Bill Clinton were both frequent flyers on the Lolita Express, which is the private plane Jeffrey Epstein, I think it was a 727. So, it was a who's who, not just of politics, Lisa, but of media and sports as well. The list is really staggering of who Jeffrey Epstein was able to get close to. I just think that actually argues for Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's how it was used by her defense counsel. So, for instance, in the trial, they asked the pilot, who is a government witness, if he saw any kind of shenanigans or anything to indicate orgies or other sexual escapades on the plane or elsewhere. And he said, absolutely not. And it just buoyed the idea that maybe Ghislaine, I seem to be like alone in the wilderness here. I don't agree that there was necessarily sex trafficking by Ghislaine Maxwell. I think it certainly remains to be seen. And when you look at the timeline of when these allegations came out, remember, she was arrested after Epstein, right? After Epstein died.
Wait a minute. I beg to differ. I mean, if you read some of the stuff that came out yesterday, the 14-year-old said, she was taught how to touch Ghislaine's breasts and whatnot. I mean, I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but all right, Jeff, I'm not making this up. You apparently read this in the trial transcript or in reports about it.
Yes, I did. And even in some of the testimonies and the other statements that came out, like she was, if they're telling the truth, I mean, she was very much involved in what Epstein was doing and facilitating the minors that he was victimizing. So it does seem that she did play a pretty important role in this sex trafficking enterprise that Epstein had going on.
If I may add one thing to Scott's point, it's not only politics and entertainment, it's also the world of finance. A lot of Wall Street bankers, I won't name names, they've been directly connected to this whole Epstein affair too. And what's also funny is that a lot of them have just mysteriously, committed suicide in the aftermath of the Epstein saga.
Really? A lot of them?
Yeah, several people. I've read reports of several hedge bank managers, accountants, and Wall Street's hedge fund managers who've taken their own lives.
At the risk of going massively over time, I'll just add one quick thing, Lisa, which is that if they're telling the truth now or when they testified previously and didn't mention those things or said that they weren't true. So it depends on who you believe. And now they have 5 million reasons to lie in the case of this most recent witness.
Well, I don't know. We are dealing with 14-year-olds and whatnot. It's really, I think,
that's
horrible. What?
Well,
that's a what? She wasn't 14 when she was groomed?
She was 14 when she met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't believe that she alleges that any abuse. And in this case, just to be clear, abuse means the exchange of money for sexual services. Sometimes we read about these things called attacks, and the attacks were a commercial transaction where somebody was legally unable to do so because of their age.
Well, look, I haven't made up my mind, and the jury hasn't even gone to deliberate, but something doesn't sound right to me in this case, and this woman is somehow, some way mixed up in it. Anyway, Maxwell is surely the keeper of Epstein's secrets. We can all agree on that. And there's talk that she will take the stand in her defense. We'll keep you up to date. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on the wall. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Sign up to our new member zone. We have a Christmas special running. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.